Okay, so Zari, we're doing a map and globe skill. These lessons happen every once in a while, and they tell us how to read a map or a globe. So Smith, can you tell us again what we're learning about today?
Use latitude and longitude.
And tell us why it matters.
Why it matters. By stating
Not standing. What does that say, Smith?
By stating latitude and longitude, you can describe the absolute location or exact location of a place.
So Smith, we're adding this vocabulary word. What number is this?
8.
8. Number 8 is what, Smith?
Absolute location.
Absolute location. And what is absolute location, Smith?
An exact location.
An
Of a
exact
place.
location of a place. So yesterday we learned about relative location. So we learned where things are. We learned how to say where things are based on other things like countries or continents or oceans or large bodies of water. Well, today we're learning about absolute location, which is exactly the location of different places. To do that, we use latitude and longitude. Okay? Smith, when you are finished, go ahead and keep reading. Read that next block of text. Actually, no, we'll call somebody else so that everybody has, or more people have a chance. Aaron, when you're ready, go ahead and read that first little block of text. Yes. Go ahead and face shields on. You can take your masks off. Yes.
Do we draw a line under no glass?
But we can do that later. Okay, quickly finish writing, but it's in your book too because I'm going to stand up straight. Aaron, loud and slow.
Perhaps you live near the Gulf of Mexico.
Where? I don't know. Where are you? Are you on page 16 with us? So when Smith was reading, did you not wonder what's going on? And I said page 16. That's a consequence. We're on lines of latitude and longitude, cross.
Lines of latitude and
Louder.
Lines of latitude and longitude cross to form a grid over a map or globe. To describe a place's absolute location, you name the line of latitude and line of longitude closest to it.
So, if you look at the globe in the middle of map A on page 16, if you look at the globe in the middle of map A on page 16, you can be looking in yours because you probably can't see this. You can see how there's kind of a grid. There's some lines going up and down, and there's lines going across. These are those lines of latitude and longitude. When Aaron read that lines of latitude and longitude cross to form a grid over a map or a globe, this grid, these lines that go up and down and side to side on this globe, are the lines of latitude and longitude. Hey. Aaron, read the next block of text.
Lines of latitude run east and west. The equator is a line of latitude.
So, what's our next word, Aaron? Number 9?
Lines of latitude.
Lines of latitude. We're just going to say latitude. Now, Aaron, do you think these are real or imaginary lines? Like if I walk up to where it is on the earth, am I going to see a line in the ground? No. No. So they are imaginary lines that do what?
That run east and west.
That run east and west. We know that if we're looking at a map, the direction up is north, the direction to the right is east, the direction down is south, and the direction to the left is west. So that means if the imaginary lines run east and west, are they the sideways lines on our globe or the up and down lines on our globe? Cullen?
The sideways.
The sideways, because they run east and west. Well, east and west is what runs sideways when we look at a compass rose like this. We know the equator runs from east and west. Find the equator on globe A. On map A. Is it running sideways or is it running up and down? Is the equator going sideways or is it going up and down? Carla?
It's going sideways.
It's going sideways. Aaron, keep reading. So the equator is a line of latitude. It is an imaginary line that runs east and west or side to side. Aaron, keep reading. Fine.
Find the equator.
Louder. Louder. Can you?
Find the equator on a map.
Not on a map, but on.
On map A. Is it marked?
Not is it. Go slow. Use your finger to point.
It is marked
That little circle means degrees.
0 degrees or 0 degrees. All other lines of latitude are measured in degrees, north or south from the equator.
Good. So everybody, find the equator on map A. Do you see how right above it we see 0 degrees? The equator is 0 degrees. All the other lines of latitude, so we see this one right here, that's marked 30 degrees north. That's because it is 30 degrees, just that's how they mark it, but it is north of the equator. Remember, north is up when we're looking at a map. So that means this first line of latitude that we see above the equator is 30 degrees north. This first line that we see below the equator, if you go down there, is 30 degrees south because it is south of the equator. Hold on one second. So we know all of these sideways lines are lines of latitude. As we go up, the lines have a number, and then it's the line of latitude, it has north because they are north of the equator. If we go up towards the top, we see another line of latitude that is called 0 degrees north because it is above the equator. All lines of latitude above the equator are marked north. If we go down, we see some more sideways lines. First, we have 30 degrees south. Then if we look down here, we have 60 degrees south because these are south or below the equator. So as you move up from the equator, the numbers get bigger. They are all north. As you move down, well, the numbers still get bigger. And there's a reason for that, which we will see later. They still get bigger because they're getting further away. There's more distance between them and the equator, but instead of being marked north, they are marked south because they are below or south of the equator. So does everybody understand lines of latitude? They are the sideways lines. The further away from the equator they are, the higher the number. But if the lines are above the equator, they are north. If the lines are below the equator, they are south. You may think, oh, it's going to the bottom, so it has to get smaller. But that's not the case. It's the further away from the equator they are, the bigger the number. You just have to figure out, is it above the equator and needs to be marked north? Or is it below the equator and needs to be marked south? Okay, thank you, Aaron. Cullen, read next. Read loud and slow.
Lines of longitude run north and south.
Pause. What's our next word?
Line of longitude.
So we're just going to say longitude. Again, are they real live lines that you would see on the ground, or are they imaginary lines?
They're imaginary.
Imaginary lines. And what's the rest of the definition?
Runs north and south.
That run north and south. So if we look at our compass rose is just what tells us north, east, south, west. Which directions go up and down, Cullen? North and south or west and east?
North and south.
North and south. So that means the lines of latitude, are they going sideways from left to right? Or are they going up and down from top to bottom, or from north to south? Are they running sideways or are they going up and down?
Running up and down.
They're going up and down. The lines of latitude run east to west, which means sideways. Lines of longitude run north to south, which means up and down. Okay, Cullen, when you're finished writing, keep going.
The prime meridian is a line of
Louder.
The prime meridian is a line of longitude. Find the prime meridians on map A, like the equator. It is marked 0 degrees. On other lines,
Not on other lines.
all other lines of longitude are measured in degrees east or west from the prime meridians.
Good. So again, this time, instead of the equator, which we found earlier, now we're finding the prime meridian. Everybody find the prime meridian on your map. On map A. Find the prime meridian. Does it go sideways or does it go up and down? Does the prime meridian go sideways or does it go up and down? Smith?
It goes up and down.
Up and down. And we know all lines of longitude are going to go up and down. Lines of latitude line up with the equator, which goes side to side. So all lines of latitude are going to go side to side. Lines of longitude all line up with the prime meridian, which goes up and down. So that means all the other lines that go up and down are also lines of longitude. So here, this one goes up and down. It's kind of curved, but it's still going up and down. And we see that it is marked 30 degrees east. Notice, it is to the right of the prime meridian. What direction is to the right when you're looking at a map? Carla?
East.
East. So that means if we're looking at the prime meridian, all the lines of latitude to the right are east. So first we have 30 degrees east. Then we have 60 degrees east. Because again, just like with the equator, how the farther the lines of latitude are, the larger the numbers, it's the same with lines of longitude. The farther the lines are from the prime meridian, the bigger the number gets. If you're to the right of the prime meridian, you're to the east, just like on a compass or just like on a map. If you're looking to the right, you're looking east. Now, if we look to the left, what direction is to the left on a map? Aaron? West. So that means all of these lines to the left of the prime meridian are degrees west. So first we have 30 degrees west because it's the closest one that we see to the prime meridian. It's not the closest to the prime meridian, it's just the closest one that we see. Then if we move further left, we see that this one is labeled 60 degrees west because it is further from the prime meridian, so the number is bigger, but it is on the left, so the direction is west. If you look at these maps here, we can see this is the equator. Everything north of the equator is the northern hemisphere. So if we're looking at lines of latitude, in the northern hemisphere, they are all marked a certain degree north. If we look below the equator, we're in the southern hemisphere. All those lines of latitude are marked degrees south. If we look at the eastern and western hemisphere, well, here's the prime meridian. Everything to the right is the eastern hemisphere. All of those lines of longitude are marked degrees east. Everything to the left of the prime meridian is the western hemisphere. All of these lines of longitude are marked degrees west. So does everybody understand why they are called what they are called? Why they have that direction, why they have that number? Remember, the further away you are from either the equator or the prime meridian, the greater the number. For lines of latitude, if you are north of the equator, your direction is north. You are degrees north. If your line of latitude is below the equator, it is degrees south. For longitude, if the line is to the right of the prime meridian, it is degrees east. If the line of longitude is to the left of the prime meridian, it is degrees west. Okay. Map A on page 16 does not list every single line of latitude and longitude. It does go higher, and there are lines of latitude between the equator and 30 degrees north or 30 degrees south. But if they put every single line of latitude and longitude on this map, you wouldn't really be able to see it because there's a 1 degree north, 2 degrees north, 3 degrees south, 4 degrees, I'm sorry, I keep saying south. But there is every single number between 0 and I think it's 120 maybe for every line of latitude and longitude. That means there are like 120 lines starting at the equator going up for latitude. There are like 120 lines of latitude starting at the equator going down. There are like 120 lines of longitude going left of the prime meridian, and there are like 120 lines of longitude going right of the equator. They just didn't list every single one. So now, we're on page 17. we can see how there are more. Do not write this. But if we look at the bottom of Miami, find the bottom of Miami, or Florida, sorry, it's near Miami. We see a sideways line. What are the sideways lines called? What are the sideways lines called? Zari.
Lines of latitude.
Lines of latitude. Well, you can see this line right below Miami. And if you go to the side, you can see it's marked 25 degrees north. Do you see where it's marked 25 degrees north? I wrote pretty much right on top of it. That line of latitude is 25 degrees north of the equator. Did we see 25 degrees north on map A? But it still exists. They just didn't show every single one. Then if we go up, kind of through the top of Florida and through Texas and New Orleans, we see another line of latitude that is marked 30 degrees north. So again, this is 30 degrees north. So it's 5 more degrees further from the equator. Because remember, the further you get from the equator, the bigger the number is. But all of these lines are above the equator, so they are all degrees north. If we go up one more, look at your map. I'm just pointing around where you should be looking. You see 35 degrees north. If you go up one more, you have 40 degrees north. Go up one more, you have 45 degrees north. Go up one more, you have 50 degrees north. Go up one more, it's not 65 degrees west because that's the longitude. We have 55 degrees north. So those sideways ones are all lines of latitude. So find Memphis. Memphis falls on a line of latitude. Find the line of latitude that is closest to Memphis and follow it all the way to the edge and tell me, Memphis is on what degree, what line of latitude? Smith.
$90 degrees west.
Is that a line of latitude? Do lines of latitude, Smith, run east and west? Are lines of latitude marked degrees east or west?
No.
No, they are marked with what? They are the sideways line. You follow the up and down line. That's not latitude. What is the up and down line, Smith?
Longitude.
So I said find Memphis and find the closest line of latitude. What is the name of that line of latitude, Carla?
Which one is flawless?
The one closest to Memphis. Find the line of latitude. Zari, what is the name of the line of latitude that is closest to Memphis?
$90 degrees west.
Zari, Smith said that same answer and it was not right. And I said why. But you were thinking more, you had your hand raised the whole time, so you were thinking about your answer instead of listening to what others said. Because Smith told me that, and I said that was not correct, because Smith, what was that? What is 90 degrees west? It's not a line of latitude, it's a line of what?
A line of longitude.
I didn't ask about latitude. So Michaela, what line of latitude is closest to Memphis?
35 east.
Loud, I can't hear you.
35 east.
There, 35 east. I don't even see 35 east or west, and also we're not in the eastern hemisphere. Aaron.
45 degrees north.
45 degrees north. If I go over here, that's right here. That means this line of latitude. Is Memphis anywhere near 45 degrees north? So is Memphis is the closest line of latitude to Memphis 45 degrees north? You guys are spending so much time thinking about your answer instead of listening to other people's answers. Kingston.
35 north.
I can't hear you. 35 what?
North.
35 what north? 35 degrees north. Because if we find Memphis right now. There is a line of latitude, those are the sideways lines, running right through Memphis. So if we follow it, keep your finger on it, and follow that line to the edge of the picture, we see it is called 35 degrees north. Now, find Memphis. It is almost exactly on a line of longitude. Lines of longitude run up and down. So follow that line either up to the edge or down to the bottom edge. And what line of longitude is Memphis closest to? What line of longitude is Memphis closest to? Carla, what line of longitude is Memphis closest to?
90 degrees west.
Good, because if you follow, you can see that Memphis is almost exactly on this line of longitude. If you follow it from Memphis with your finger all the way to the top, you can see it is called 90 degrees west. That means that Memphis's absolute location is, can't remember which one comes first. Memphis's absolute location is 35 degrees north, which is the line of latitude, 90 degrees west, which is the line of longitude. Because right where Memphis is right where (35 degrees north) and 90 degrees west meet. Do you see that? Lines of longitude, even though they run north or south, they are marked with degrees west or east because you're saying where in the eastern or western hemisphere is it. Even though lines of latitude run east and west or sideways, they are marked with degrees north or south because they're saying, is it in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere? We know the United States is in the northern hemisphere, so all the lines of latitude are going to be marked degrees north. We know it's in the western hemisphere, so all lines of longitude are going to be marked degrees west. We will never see a place in the United States at however many degrees south, however many degrees east, because we are not in the southern hemisphere and we are not in the eastern hemisphere. So, let's look at the questions. Number 1, between which two lines of latitude does most of the United States lie? So that means, are we looking at the sideways lines or the up and down lines if we're trying to find which two lines of latitude the United States runs between? Zari, are we looking at the up and down lines or the sideways lines?
Sideways.
Sideways, because latitude lines of latitude run sideways. So that means we need to find the line of latitude that is all the way to the north. That is all the way to the top, and the one all the way to the bottom. We're looking at most of the United States. So right now we're not worried about Hawaii or Alaska because it does not say all of the United States, it means most. Well, most is the continuous states, all the ones that touch. So we have to look at the one all the way at the top. So let's find the top of the country. What is the closest line of latitude to the top of the country? Is it this one right here? Or is it this one? Which one is closer? The top one or this bottom one? Victoria. The top one, because this one's a little further. So, Victoria, what line of latitude is that? Which line of latitude is that? How do we find out? Is that answer on your paper? How do we find out which line of latitude this is? Where is the answer to that? Where? So what is it? Are we looking at map A? Who can help her out? By coming up here and pointing to where it is on this map. Where are the names for the lines of latitude on this map? It's the same one you have in your book. It has to be somebody at school so they can come up and point to them. Where do we see the names for the lines of latitude? What were you doing? What were all of you doing while we were naming where Memphis was? Cullen, come up here and point to where the names for the lines of latitude are. You may know this at home, but I need somebody to actually come up here and point. Is that all of them? Where are all of them? Where do we see? They're all up and down both sides. Thank you. They are all up and down both sides. We see 55 degrees north. I already did this. Now I have to do it again because people were not listening. We have 55 degrees north. Then we have 50 degrees north. Then we have 45 degrees north. Then we have 40 degrees north. Then we have 35 degrees north. Then we have 30 degrees north. Then we have 25 degrees north. So Victoria, what is the name of this top line of latitude that most of the United States falls under? Use your finger to actually follow it to where the name is.
50.
The little circle is degrees.
50
50
degrees north.
degrees north. So we know it has to be between 50 degrees north and another line of latitude. So which one is closer to the bottom of the country? This one right here or this one? Is it this top one right here or this bottom one? Aaron, the bottom one, which is which line of latitude? 25 degrees north. That means the answer to number 1, which says, between which two lines of latitude does most of the United States lie? Well, we know it's between 50 degrees north and 25 degrees north. Remember, they are both north because lines of latitude are not named based on the United States. They're named based on the equator. Both of these lines of latitude are above the equator, so they are both north. Sit up straight, please. Okay, number 2. Which city is located near 40 degrees north and 105 degrees west? Now, to solve that, I'm going to go to the side. I'm going to find 40 degrees north and put my finger on it, on that line of latitude. I know lines of latitude, the sideways lines, are marked north. So I'm going to find 40 degrees north, and then I'm going to find 105 degrees west. So I'm going to go up to the top and find the line of longitude. Those are the up and down lines. That is marked 105 degrees west. I have one finger on each one. You should have one finger on each one. Do not use one hand, use two hands because your hand cannot move the way you need it to move. Put your one finger on 40 degrees north and put one finger from the other hand on 105 degrees west. Find the line of latitude that is named 40 degrees north. Then find the line of longitude that is named 105 degrees west. And put your finger on them and follow them until you meet. What city is located near 40 degrees north and 105 degrees west? What city is that? When you put one finger on 40 degrees north and one finger on 105 degrees west, where do your fingers meet? Zari.
Denver.
Denver. What state is that? Ooh, this is why you have to know your state abbreviations. Who knows what state that is? Michaela? Colorado. CO stands for Colorado. Very good, because if you start on 40 degrees north and you start on 105 degrees west and you find where they cross right near Denver, Colorado. Let's do one more question that's not in the book. What city is very close? You're going to do this by yourself. So, on your map. So, use your map. What city is located near 45 degrees north and 100 degrees west? What city is located near where 45 degrees north and 100 degrees west meet? Which city is located near 45 degrees north, 100 degrees west? Raise your hand if you have found it. So you're finding the city that is near 45 degrees north, 100 degrees west. So put one finger on 45 degrees west. 45 degrees north, that line of latitude. Put one finger on the line of longitude that is 100 degrees west and move them until they meet. Kingston, what city is that? I can't hear you. Pierre, what state? SD. Victoria, want to try?
San Diego.
Not San Diego, that's a city. Aaron? You should know. South Dakota. That's why I picked Aaron in the end. Pierre, South Dakota. This is why you have to learn those state abbreviations, because your book is going to give them as abbreviations a lot. And you have to know what state that is. Good. Okay, so now we're going to do independent practice, which will probably end up being homework, which is okay because you really don't have much homework tonight. And we only have 8 minutes till we have to pack up. But I want to explain it first. So on the front, we have a map of the southeast. The sideways lines are the lines of latitude. You can find the names for the lines of latitude on the side. We see 40 degrees north, 35 degrees north, 30 degrees north, and 25 degrees north. The lines of longitude go up and down. The names of the lines of longitude are at the bottom. We have 90 degrees west, 85 degrees west, and 80 degrees west. Now wait, these ones weren't named. But you can figure it out because this one is just going to be 5 degrees more. So 95 is the one all the way to the left. And the one all the way to the right is going to be 5 degrees west. So it'll be 75 degrees west. So those names are at the bottom. So on the back, numbers 1 through 5 tell you the state, which means you have an idea of where you're looking. And then it has the location. The lines of latitude always come first. So for number 1, you're looking for the city in Florida that is closest to 30 degrees north and 85 degrees west. So that means you're going to the front. You'll find the line of latitude that is 30 degrees north. Then you'll find the line of longitude that is 85 degrees west. And you are going to move your fingers until they meet. What city in Florida is right near there? You'll write that on the line. That's what you'll do for numbers 1 through 5. Numbers 6 through 10 tell you the state and the city. So that means you're finding the location. So number 6 is Biloxi, Mississippi. So you're going to go back to your map. You're going to find Biloxi, Mississippi. Now there aren't any lines of latitude or longitude that run right through that city. So you have to find the ones that are closest. Those of you who are not listening or even looking at your paper, you're really going to be in trouble tonight when you try to do this on your own because you're going to have no idea because you weren't listening in the lesson and you're not listening now. So you have to find Biloxi. Where is the closest corner of that square of that grid? A grid, remember, makes squares. So you're going to find the closest corner of the square. Then just follow the line down till you find, or follow the line to the right until you find the line of latitude. You'll write that first. Then follow the line of that corner down till you find the line of longitude. You'll write that second. So notice how all the lines of latitude are first. We have blank degrees north each time, and all the lines of longitude are second. We have blank degrees west, second. When you write the locations, they need to look the same. Line of latitude first, line of longitude second. Does everybody understand what to do on this independent practice that has become homework? Any questions? Please ask me right now. Kingston. Because it's homework. Yes, that's fine. It was originally independent practice, but it has now become homework because this lesson took a while. Because people weren't listening. That's the only reason. So I had to repeat many, many, many times. And partially the iPad, but that wasn't until the very end, which we had already run out of time to do it by then. So does everybody understand how to do this homework? If you have questions, ask me right now. Use your fingers. Time to pack up. Use your fingers to follow these lines. Follow the pattern that's here. We know the state is always in the first column. That means the city is always in the second column, and the location is always in the third column. The pattern we see is that the line of latitude comes first and the line of longitude comes second. So you're going to keep following that pattern. Line of latitude first, line of longitude second. Other than that, there aren't patterns. So don't look for a pattern where it's like, oh, that's 30 and that's 40 and that's 30 and that's 35 and that's 35. So that must mean that repeats. That's not true. The pattern is just latitude, line of latitude comes first, line of longitude comes second. Okay, you're going to use this map on the front, so you are going to have to keep going back and forth, unless you printed it as 2 pages. But that's okay. That's how it would be if you had the workbook that this came from. So, everybody ready to do that? Carla, do you have a question about the homework, or is it a question about something else?
It is about the homework.
Okay.
But it's, is it okay if you can't see this? Is it okay if we use the book?
The book is not the same map.
Okay.
So you're going to have to use this because the book map is not the same. So
Okay.
if you can't see it, look at it on the computer, Carla.
Okay.
And that'll help. Just look at it on the computer while you're, like the emailed copy, look at the emailed copy while you're working on the back. And just use your finger on the screen or the tablet, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions about the homework? And then I'll stop the video. Is this about the homework, Helen? Okay. What's your question?
So, what if we get so on this part, what if we get this right and then we mix the numbers up?
You would lose half a point each time. If you put lines of longitude first on the back, like the degrees west, you would lose half a point. If they're wrong, like it's the wrong degree, then you'll lose a whole point. So make sure that you're following the directions and that you are being careful and thorough. All of these cities and all of these lines of longitude fall very close to one place, not more than one. So you have to figure out, there might be some that are nearby, but there's one that's going to be the closest. You have to find the one city or the one intersection that is closest. Remember, when you know the city, you're looking for the corner of the box that is closest. because grids makes boxes. They make squares. Carla, please mute yourself. So find the corner of the square that is the closest to the city.